You ready?
Technowood School is a school for autistic children and young adults, and we have set this podcast up to provide our pupils with a fantastic opportunity to develop a range of skills whilst interviewing top sportsmen and women from a variety of different sports. Joining us today on the TWS Sports Podcast is a former professional footballer. He played for teams such as QPR, is that right?
Yeah.
Millwall and Luton. He is a current assistant manager of Walsall. Welcome to the podcast, Gary Waddock.
Thank you very much.
We like to start our podcast with some random questions before we start talking about your career. Are you ready?
Of course, yeah.
Mason?
Who's the most famous person in your phone book?
Oh, good question. I've got Harry Redknapp from Footballing World, a lot of football people. I would possibly say he is the most famous one that everybody would know.
If you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Again, in the footballing world, probably Pep Guardiola, a Man City. He's working with elite footballers, coaches them on a day-to-day basis, and it would be nice to see what level that they train at day-to-day.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, what would you have and why?
I'd like to be invisible, because you can go anywhere, nobody would see you. You know what the conversation would be, what people are talking about. Would you like to be that?
Yeah, because
It's quite a good one, I think. It's quite a good one. I'd go with that.
Thank you for answering those questions. Let's chat about your career. We want to take you back to the beginning and talk about your childhood. What are your memories of growing up, and did you always want to be a footballer?
Yeah, from a real early age, I wanted to be a professional footballer. At school, I played for obviously the school team, district team, county team, and developed that way. Went into QPR in their youth system and worked my way up. And I was fortunate enough they offered me a pro contract, which I signed, and I was starting to fulfil my dreams of being a professional footballer, and they gave me that opportunity.
You started your career at QPR and played in the youth system at the club. What are your memories of that, and who else was in that setup with you at the time?
Well, I joined roughly when I was about 13, and worked my way through the age groups, and as I said, I signed as an apprentice and then as a professional. There was a lot of players within that group who went on to play in the first team at QPR. Players like Paul Goddard, Clive Allen, who were able to work their way through the youth system as well. There was a number of players who'd done the same as me, and were able to get professional contracts and play in the first team there. So there's probably too many to mention, but they were the two outstanding ones who had real good careers.
You spent nearly a decade for QPR, and were part of the team that reached in 1982 FA Cup final. What do you remember about that cup run?
Quite a while ago now. Again, a good question. It's always, I think, a dream of a young player to go and play in an FA Cup final, and I was really fortunate to do that. And the cup run was good. We had some real interesting games. The one that stands out was the semi-final at Highbury Arsenal's old ground against West Brom. We were then a League Two side, they were a League One side, which would be a Premier League and Championship side now. And we were the Championship side, so the favourites were West Brom to go through. But we were fortunate enough, we got the result and went through to the final. So yeah, the celebrations were great with the players and the supporters on that day. and we went into the final, which was a replay. So I always say I've played in 2 FA Cup finals, because one was on the Saturday and the second one was on the Thursday. So unfortunately we didn't win it, but some great memories. I live really close to Wembley Stadium, and it was always my dream to play there and to do it at a young age. It was a dream come true for me.
What was Terry Venables like as a person and as a manager?
Firstly, excuse me, as a person, he was a real nice gentleman, if you like. 1 minute he could be a real good friend of yours, a mate of yours, but then in the next minute you knew he was the manager, so he knew where to draw the line. And that's a skill and an art in itself. He was an outstanding, talented coach, which I learnt a lot from. Everybody talks about Guardiola in today's football game, but Terry Venables at that time was a head and shoulders above anybody else. So we were fortunate that we had somebody like him at our football club to learn off. Again, got great memories of him as a person and as a coach and manager.
You also played in Birmingham with
Belgium.
Belgium.
Good luck with this time.
With Charles.
Shallower.
How did that move come about, and how different was football abroad compared to England?
Yeah, brilliant question. It come about through me having an injury in England. I had to retire in England due to a knee injury, and the only way I could resurrect my career was by playing abroad. So I had 1 or 2 opportunities elsewhere in other countries, but I just felt if I went to Belgium with Shallowa that I possibly would have an opportunity to rebuild my career and then come back into England. And that was the case. I spent 2 years out there, and I was able to come back and join Millwall. So it served its purpose, but the club itself and living abroad was a fantastic experience. Different culture, different language, different style of football, and to get used to that was something different, and I'd always recommend that players, if they have an opportunity to go abroad, to go and experience it, because it is different to playing in England, and you learn a hell of a lot, as I just touched on there. So I had a fantastic time out there, really enjoyed it, but my aim was always to come back to England and play in this country again.
Well, you did debut.
You made your debut for
Ireland
yeah.
in 1980 against Switzerland. What are your memories of that?
You've done your research, by the way. It's it's fantastic. Sorry? Yeah, no, your research has been great. It's again, a long time ago, and I was really young at the time to make my debut for the Republic of Ireland. My parents are Irish, and that's the reason why I was, selected for the national team. Fantastic for me on a personal level to play at that level. Any player wants to play at the highest level, and to play at international level, there's no level higher than that, and I achieved that. I played a number of times at that level, and to play at Lansdowne Road at the time in front of a full house at that level was fantastic for me.
You were selected to play in the 1990 World Cup, but sadly you were dropped at the last minute by the manager, Jack
Charlton.
How do you look back on that time?
It was a difficult time for me, for a number of reasons really. I touched on it earlier where when I went out to play for Shallowa, I had the knee injury and I wanted to resurrect my career and play back in this country, which I achieved. And then my next aim was to then play international level again. And I was fortunate enough to achieve that. But again, playing at that level and then being selected for a World Cup squad, there's nothing higher than that. And I got selected, and at the last minute I was released from the squad. And I wasn't best pleased at the time, but you know, I had to find a way again to put that to one side and continue with my career, because it was difficult dealing with that, you know, because I played in the training camp going up to it, and then at the last minute I was dropped from that squad. I've got nothing that I hold against Jack Charlton or anything like that, because he had to make a decision which was best for the squad and for the team. So that decision was made, but I was bitterly disappointed.
What did you say to Jack Charlton when he told you that you were not in the World Cup squad?
If I was being really honest, I would not be able to tell you what I said. I'm being really honest. No, I had a conversation with him at the airport where he told me, and then we went back to the hotel and I had another conversation in his room. I cannot repeat what I said.
So you wasn't the happiest.
I wasn't the happiest, no. It's a fantastic question, I have to be honest. No, I can't repeat what I said because it would get me into trouble.
You then joined Millwall in 1999. What are your memories of your time there?
Well, I was playing for Shallower at the time, and I was invited to come over to Millwall for them to sign me, but there was one or two complications because of the insurance on my knee and stuff like that to come back into this country. But you know, I played at the old Den, which was an intimidating place for away teams to come to, and on occasions was an intimidating place for home players to play at. So it was great. I played with some outstanding players there. We played at the highest level, which would be the equivalent as the Premier League now today. And you got some real good memories there as well, of people that I played with the manager and the assistant manager there at the time. And again, as I said there, playing with the players that I played with and the experience I had there was great.
After a few years, you then went back to QPR for a second spell. This sadly didn't work out for you. Why do you think it didn't work out second time round?
Well, Jerry Francis at the time was the manager. He said to me, would I come in and be part of the squad, but also look after the younger players? And I did say to him at the time, I still want to be considered to play in the first team at the club, but I understood as well where I was in the pecking order. You know, there were some talented players there at the time, and you know, I then got the bug, if you like, for the coaching side of it, because I was looking after the younger players as well. So yeah, it didn't work out in terms of me playing again for Queen's Park Rangers, but it worked out in a sense where I probably got to know a little bit more on the coaching role or side of things that I eventually went into.
We just want to stop the questions about your career at the moment and play a Would You Rather game. Are you ready?
Yes.
Night in or night out?
Night in.
Beach holiday or city break?
Beach holiday. In saying that, with my ginger hair and my fair skin, it'd have to be a big umbrella and a factor 50.
Would you rather talk to animals or speak every language?
I'll speak every language.
Would you rather explore space or explore the bottom of the ocean?
Oh, that's something to think about. Space.
Would you rather go forward 200 years and see your future family, or go back 200 years and meet your ancestors?
backwards, I'd be younger, would I, or would I stay the same
I
age?
think you said the same age.
Same age. I'll go forwards then.
When you retired, you moved into coaching and was a coach at QPR. How did you find that and working with people such as Lan Holloway, I think?
Ian Highway. Well, first I went back there as a coach when I was still playing at Luton, and I took the under-15s and then developed my way up. But I worked with some really, really talented players at the time, which then I was able to develop as a coach also at the same time at QPR. So in many respects I learnt my trade there with, good players. So I was able to try ideas out, see if they worked, if they didn't work, and then, as I touched on, develop as a coach at that time.
You took charge of the QPR in 2006. What was it like managing a club where you made your name as a player?
I was a coach at the time, and then out of the blue they asked me to become the caretaker manager, which was again a dream come true for me to do that. And then they gave me the role full time. It was an incredible feeling to be in charge of that football club, or manager of that football club, for the period of time I was there, to work with the players that were there at the time. And it gave me an insight into what management was like and whether I wanted to take it further. And they gave me that opportunity to become a manager, and I'll never forget that.
Managing Aldershot Town?
Yeah.
You led them to the Football League in 2008. What was the key to that team's success?
I would have to say, before my spell, the managers before me put a good foundation in there. So, I was the manager at the time that took them over the line. But the key to anything is players. If you've got good players, you become a good coach and a good manager. If you've got bad players, you're a bad coach and a bad manager. So I think the key was the players, how they gelled. Me and my assistant Martin Cool at the time were able to play a certain way, which the players enjoyed, and with the help of the supporters and everybody linked to the club, we were able to get into the Football League. Bless you.
You then manager
Wycombe Wanderers.
and had promotions and regulations. How do you reflect on your time there?
Yeah, I had a fantastic time there. I met some interesting, real friendly people, good people at the club, and I've stayed in contact with them people. I got a relegation on my CV there, which was difficult, but you learn a lot about yourself in difficult times. You learn about people around you in difficult times. So that was a great learning curve for me. We were able to get a promotion also while I was there. So the highs and lows of football I experienced at that football club. So it taught me a lot of lessons.
Looking back on your career with management, where were you at your happiest, and why?
Cool. It's an unbelievable question to answer that. I've had good experience at every football club that I've been at. QPR, I'll touch on all of them really, because QPR was a club that I supported as a kid. I played there. They gave me my chance as a player, and then ultimately ended up as manager there. So that was an incredible period of time for me when I look back. Aldershot, that was brilliant because of the promotion and the way we done it. Wickham, the same thing. But I just like being out on the grass with the players. That's probably the easiest way of putting it to you. I like being out on the grass with the players. I like coaching. I enjoy coaching. I like developing players and making players better. It doesn't matter how old they are, whether they're starting their careers off or coming to the back end of their careers. If I can play a small part in helping anybody develop and become better, that's when I'm happy.
In 2023, you became assistant manager of Walsall. How are you finding your time at the club?
Good question. No, it's been a great experience, purely and simply because, you know, the people that are here, the manager, the staff, the players, the supporters, the owner, the directors, the chairman, everybody has played a part in the reason why sitting here today we are where we are. So the experience I'm having here is great because, you know, we put foundations in last year in the first season. We've built on that. The squad has improved. The manager has done an incredible job with the players and with the staff. But ultimately, as well, everybody has to play a part in doing that, you know, and everyone's pulled in the same direction. So, you know, as I touched on there, everybody from top to bottom, supporters have been great. They got right behind the team as well. So each and every one of them people have played their part in the reason why we are where we are.
How do you and the manager work together and preparing for match days?
Well, we obviously we always talk, me, the manager, Daz, Stilly, Fenners, Gravy, all the staff that here contribute on a a daily, weekly basis. We have meetings all the time. We discuss training, preparation for training, what we need to do, what we need to be doing going into the next game and the opposition. We look at the opposition. You know, Gravy's the analyst. He looks at the opposition. We play our part, all of us, in looking at the opposition, and we come together and discuss that. So, you know, the relationship that we've all got is really tight. It's a tight-knit group, and we all play our part in preparing the team for a match day.
Last season you finished 11th on 65 points. This season you're currently top with 59 points. What has changed in a year to improve the team so much?
Recruitment is key. The players that were here last year and the foundations that were put in last year we've been able to add to that this year. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and it takes time. But again, the recruitment's been good. The players that have come in this year and the players that have been added throughout the season have got us into a position where we are. And, you know, win, lose or draw, we stay the same. You know, we work hard. The players train hard. They take that into the games. But everybody has played their part, as we touched on. But the best saying is, and you smiled, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we built on it.
Yeah. You lost Nathan in low last month. He has been your main goal threat. How will you manage without him, and what options do you have?
Although he done brilliant for us while he was here, you know, he scored the goals, but he would be the first guy to say, if it wasn't for the other members of the squad creating the chances for him, he wouldn't have scored the amount of goals that he did. So he done extremely well for us, and we're delighted that he's gone back to his club and has gone into their first team and playing at a higher level. And credit to him for doing that. But it's not just down to one person. Everybody chips in with goals. We've got strikers here now at the football club that were here with Lowy and that have been added to give us a goal threat. We've got midfield players who've chipped in with goals as well. So we're not just relying on one person to score us the goals to win football matches. So everybody plays their part, and they'll continue to do that until the end of the season.
What is your biggest weakness as a coach, and what are you doing to improve it?
What a fantastic question you've thrown at me there. My biggest weakness, I don't know. I would like somebody else to tell me what my weaknesses are. And I'm open to that from anybody. But in saying that, I would like to be obviously better than what I am. I'm always looking to improve and be better. My strength, I'd like to say, I'm upfront and honest. And I like to help people all the time. Whatever I can do to help somebody develop and become better, I will do that for them. And as I touched on earlier, I like being out on the grass helping players. So I think that's also a strength, being there for the players when they need it.
It is looking likely that Walsall may get promoted this year. Are you and the staff making plans for League One?
No. Promotion is what we're striving for. There's a lot of hard work to be done from now to the end of the season. We're in a really strong position, but we have to maintain that and build on that. And we've got a group of players here now, or a squad of players here now, that I believe are strong enough to be able to continue doing what we're doing. Planning for League One would be wrong at this period of time, because all we're doing is planning for the next game, and our next game is Colchester away. So you're not going to catch me out and trying to say that we're going for promotion and getting promotion. But good question.
Walsall signed a few players in January. Which of the new players has impressed you so far, and which of them can have the biggest impact?
I think all of them that have come in, the loan players that we've signed, they all have their strengths, and they will all of them add to the group. I wouldn't like to name one that stood out, because all of them have come in and I've been impressed with all of them, with what they've done, and all of them hit the ground running in terms of what they've done on the training ground. So I'm looking forward to working with them from now to the end of the season, and hopefully they'll have a big impact on the group.
What is Matt Sadler's biggest strength as a head coach?
His biggest strength as a coach, in my opinion, I think his man management skills are really, really high. He takes time with everybody. He cares for everybody. He wants everybody to do well. He knows when to speak to people, and on a one-to-one basis. He handles the group in a really professional manner. So I would say, both individually and as a group, his man management skills are outstanding. And to be a manager, it needs to be.
Every week on the podcast, we like our guests to ask questions to each other. So we get a guest to ask a question, but I have no idea who the question is going to be for. This week's question comes from our previous guest, who was a former England blind footballer, Darren Harris, who asks, which currently footballer would you most like to be and why?
I haven't got much time to think about that, have I? Cristiano Ronaldo, because he's played at the highest level for a number of years. He's now 40 and he's still playing, even though you could argue in the level that he's playing at is not at the highest level, but he's still playing at 40 and he's still scoring goals. He's still making headlines for all the right reasons. He conducts himself in the right way, in a professional way. He looks after his body. That's why he plays to the level or to the age that he is today. So possibly him.
Could you do the same, please? Can you think of a question for our next guest? Yes, please. But we aren't going to tell you who the question is. The question can be anything you want.
If you were a multi-millionaire, what would you buy this afternoon?
I would just like to say a big thank you again to everyone who listens to our podcast. We really appreciate it. Please continue to leave reviews and pass our podcast on to your friends and family. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, Gary. We really enjoyed speaking with you, and it means so much to us as a school to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But I would also like to say, you guys coming in here, it's been fantastic meeting you, and the questions that you asked me put me on the spot on occasions. But they were really interesting questions for me to answer. Hopefully I've answered them in a manner that you can get something from, and it was interesting. But thank you very much for coming in and speaking to me.